Hello and welcome to the 40th episode of the Saints Prime podcast. It's with me, Ollie. I'm also here with Harry.
Hello.
I'm also here with Mikey.
Hello.
So, basically what we're going to cover today, we're going to do questions you sent in. Mikey's going to do his press conference and transfers, and we'll also do our preview on the game. But before we quickly get in, I just want to say thanks for the support so far, but also if you could leave a review, if you do enjoy the podcast, would really help us get out there. We're also hoping for 2,000 downloads by the end of the year. That's what we're going for. That's our target. We're on track so far, but we definitely need our help with the busy Christmas period. So yeah, if you do enjoy it, give it a listen, share it to your mate, leave a review, yada, yada, yada. Will help us a lot. So we'll go straight into questions. Tiz, even, can you let us hear some of the questions?
Southampton news now with the first question. Which was better, Gabbiadini goal to keep us up or Shane Long at Anfield?
Shane Long at Anfield. I mean, the Swansea goal was good, but the Shane Long goal is just amazing. It's just a brilliant goal, isn't it? Let's be honest. Tiz, do you want to offer an opinion before Mikey?
I loved the Gabbiadini goal. It properly meant that meant that we were going to stay up. Yes, Shane Long's goal was good, but we were already going through. That was just the icing on the cake. Whereas Gabbiadini's goal kept us up. It was fantastic, and I was there for it, so that's what made it special for me as well.
Yeah, I think it depends, your location, where you were for it, and how you experienced it. Because I came back from somewhere, and my mum and my brother was in a different car for the Shane Long goal. I was listening to the radio, I'd just come back, and as soon as I got in and turned the radio on, Josh Sims was running through. So I experienced that goal pretty much straight away. And then my mum walked through the door as soon as Shane Long scored. So it was just a massive piece of jubilation and everything like that. Gabbiadini goal, I was curled up in the corner of my room, willing for us to just keep a clean sheet to get a goal. So I'd say for elation, Shane Long's goal was much better, but just for pure relief, Gabbiadini's goal was there as well. I'd say they're pretty much level.
I mean, I can only go off what I thought was, but I heard both on the radio. I both heard Dave Merrington and Blackmore doing the commentary for it. So I completely understand why Harry thinks Gabbiadini's is the best goal because he was there. He experienced. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, for me, goal better. Yeah, I had the level. I had the. That it was both exactly the same. So for me, I think it was just the excitement of the Shane Long goal. It's a definite of goal. Yeah. Whereas the Swansea one was like we should try and get this, and it was like relief. But I don't think you celebrate the relief just as much as you did, just because I think it's natural that you want to celebrate the excitement, and I think the Shane Long for me just tips it. But yeah, should we go next question?
Hyper Walk Sun, terrible defenders, not enough shots, right back rumours. Just general statistic or general comments.
Yeah, so we'll cover rumours. There's a couple rumours for right backs. So we'll see what Mikey says out in a bit. But yeah, cover what's the rest of it? So terrible centre backs.
Not enough shots and terrible defenders.
Not enough shots. Well, we were kind of saying a couple of weeks ago that we were taking shots when we can, and the fact that Mikey highlighted it, that we were taking shots when it was available, and was it Cedric that took the shot a little bit too early? So it seems like I'm honestly not too sure. There's no consistent storylines anymore, is there?
Ralph commented on the West Ham game. That was the last game, wasn't it? The West Ham game during the press conference, saying that we did create chances. Ings hit the post twice. He scored a very good goal. Højbjerg probably should have finished one of them off. Shane Long probably should have finished one of them off. So we did create chances, and there's no fear to take a chance. It's having the confidence and the work rate to perform throughout the game defensively. Yeah, and that's what he's got. So the list on January is a fullback because Valerie's out till next year. Dan Sozil's at the moment, and currently we only have Bertrand and Cedric as fullbacks.
Yeah.
So we need backups in the fullbacks, and he's also just looking at the defence. He's happy with the attack. He's happy with his options up front. So that's something that he's not looking to change.
Well, there we go. Yeah. Any other thoughts, Tiz, or do you want to go into the next question?
No, I think that's fair enough. We've got Dan Hurst, 96. He keeps saying, give Ralph time, but the Prem isn't a league with any more than a luxury. So he's like, if we leave it too long, we might regret it. That's his sort of incentive.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? I mean, we try and we basically have this every week now. Everyone kind of saying, how long do we give Ralph? Do we keep giving Ralph a go? But I think my opinion's still kind of the same. I think he showed previously that he's got enough to get us playing good, and it might just be a rough patch that we're having at the moment. But fingers crossed, we should be able to come out the other side. But yeah, what do you guys? Are you guys still just as confident, or are you wavering a little bit now as well?
Oh no, you go, Tiz, because I
was going to say even more so now because the board seems to have backed him. I feel like that's what we sort of need. So there's no questions. Everyone's pushing in the right direction, and like I said, the performances are there. It's just finishing it off. And Ralph's not the one finishing the shots off at the end of the day. He's the one that sets us up. He's not the one that makes the mistakes, that misses the chances, and eventually the ball will bounce the right way. It's just giving it time.
I think as well. Sorry, Mikey, but I was just going to say, I think we've tried pretty much as many combinations as we can, really. I mean, we've tried flat 4-4-2s, we've tried the 4-2-2s, the 5 at the backs, but our issues still prevail. So I think it's playing them in a way that they can build their confidence until we can show a bit of, that those positive signs actually come through. I think Ralph's basically tried as many tactics as he can. He's found probably the best combination he's got, which is to play as 4 at the back. And although we are still frail in defence, we're just as frail as we were in 5 at the back, and it's allowing us to try and put more pressure attacking wise. So I think, hopefully, with time, confidence should pick up and the results should follow. Well, yeah. Mike, your thoughts?
I hate the managerial merry-go-round that the Premier League is. I hate the fact that managers can have a job for 3 months and then get sacked. Because you can't build something in 3 months. It took Klopp 3 years to build something at Liverpool. So, you've got to give Ralph time, and even if we go down, I'll still keep Ralph in, because we've had it with Pellegrino, Hughes, Puel, where we've had a year, change the style of play, change the players that we're bringing in, change the way that we set up, train, everything like that, and that just gets too much for players sometimes, and they don't really know how they're supposed to play, and that really showed at Pellegrino. So I would much prefer us just to stick with Ralph, even if we go down. If he wants to keep the job in the Championship, stick with him. And unless it goes really, really bad, just keep sticking with him, because he's got a system that works, and it's worked in Germany, it's worked in Austria, it's worked across Europe. So it's probably going to work here. And if we give him the time, give him the resources, give him the players that he needs, let him have the turnaround, we could be top half in a couple of seasons, hopefully.
Yeah, you've got to, that's a positive way to go for it. And fingers crossed, if we do stick with it and come out the other side, then results hopefully can follow. Tiz, can we go for the next question?
Yeah, Dan Hurst, 96, once again. Please tell me where this attractive football we were promised from Ralph is.
I don't think it ever was particularly that. I don't think it was beautiful football. I think it's a particular tactic that works on aggressive pressing style. And I think it's quick transitions, aggressive pressing, and finishing chances taken off people's chance. Was it ever particularly beautiful?
I don't think it was ever advertised as attractive football. I thought it was advertised as exciting football, and it is exciting football to watch.
It's exciting. It's fast paced. It's quick changes. It's
passion. It was never attractive under Koeman. It was never particularly attractive under Koeman. It wasn't very attractive under Poch. Didn't have passing around the back, 70% possession.
It went up to Pella and knocked for runners around the side.
Yeah, and that's sort of, and sometimes you can't do it with the players that we've got. Especially with the fans getting on their back, you can't have them passing the ball around the back, because all the fans start having a go, and we don't have the ability to do that. We don't have the centre backs to play out the back, and the way that we're getting up the pitch is by hoofing it long and then pressing. Yeah. And that sometimes seems to work. So I'm fine with it. I don't mind.
Ted, your thoughts on the style of football?
No, Mike is completely right in the fact that in the past we tried to do square pegs with round holes. We just don't have the players to play really attractive football at the moment. It's not always attractive, but I really like the style that we play most of the time. Most of the time I do enjoy it. It does annoy me a bit where we pass it around the back and then just hoof it up. Either do one or the other, don't mix and match. But it's just I don't mind. I don't mind the way he plays.
The thing is how it works is, so what we're trying to do is we're playing the ball around the back to try and it's going to sound weird. We're trying to pass the ball around the back so they press high, and then when they press high, we're trying to go long and in behind. So you're trying to draw them up the pitch, create the space in behind, and then lump it in behind. And I think that's what Ralph is trying to do, because we've got the players to get in behind with a long ball. But it's just about, because teams know that we can't break them down through playing it around. A lot of teams just sit back at home. And so they'll just sit back, and then there's no space to do a long ball, and that's when we come unstuck.
Yeah. Well, the problem is it seems that we put too much pressure. The ball always comes to our fullbacks, and they just smack it down the line, and there's no one there. That's my only sort of thinking behind that. I can't specifically remember a time where we've knocked the ball forwards long, missing the midfield out completely, and it actually works. A lot of the time, it's come from just getting it from the middle to our wingers and then driving at them.
It worked against Norwich and it worked against Watford for the second half. So it does work. It just, you need that communication of a trigger. So as soon I think maybe if the ball goes out to the fullback and he does something, then that's the trigger, and that's when they know that it's going to go long. And that goes to the communication between the strikers and the fullback, whether the striker actually wants to run in behind, whether the fullback has the ability to put that ball forward and make it a quality ball instead of just lumping it. Yeah. So it's both ways.
It takes time to learn, isn't it? You've got to have your right backs be able to consistently pull off that pass into a good area, providing a good style of pass, not just a lump. And it's also, they're not going to be used to playing that as their first option. They might be used to playing off with a right mid and then the right mid transitioning with the ball, rather than using the ball for that speed of the counter. They may not be used to that, so it will take a bit of time to a change.
It's also down to personnel as well, because we've got two quite short strikers up top. Neither of them are above 6 foot, so they're not going to win headers. Long as he can jump. But then it's also the quality of flick on as well. People have to run off him. And that's what we're not currently getting at the moment. We're not getting a lot of movement off the ball, and that's when we're struggling. Because we're not getting those runs in behind of Long. We're not getting Højbjerg and Ward-Prowse moving together. We're not getting the runs in behind most of the time. So that's when we become unstuck. And that's what happened against Everton. We just had no movement and we could not get the ball forwards.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. Right, to the next question.
Dan Hurst 96 says, this club is rotten now, bad owners, bad board, bad performance, miserable, and he's a miserable fan. It's what he said, not me.
Very sad, Dan, this week. I think the club are doing the best they can to try and return it around. You've seen the point of weaknesses, or the highlighted points which we thought were the negative parts, have been changed. So there's only so much you can do without scrapping it and starting it completely again. It's got to be an overhaul, and it will be a slow process. Mikey's mentioned it before very rightly, that it won't be done in a blink of an eye, and you won't see changes in a blink of an eye. It takes a long time for it to change and to become successful. And I think it takes a lot more time for it to become successful and for it to be changed than it is for it to, be restarted and sorted back up again. It will take a lot of time. So just got to be patient and have confidence in the people above that. Hopefully things will turn around. Yeah. Sorry if I can't cover all bases there, but
Dan Hurst 96 says, enjoy the away day, chaps. Sorry about being so negative. I'm never normally like this. Just Saints. Yeah, I think that's
it's a difficult time to stay positive, but the fact that we're young and naive, that what keeps us positive. That's the reason why.
But we'll be up there. We'll give our afterthoughts and things like that. We'll sort something out, because it's an away day with us all together, all around watching the same game. So we'll try and sort out, or at least we'll have better thoughts on the game because we were all there watching it in front of us. So we can have our own opinions. So check out for a reaction podcast for the Aston Villa game. That will possibly be out either Sunday or Monday. Have a look out for that. Right.
Harry _Mitchie. We aren't as bad as some people make out, just fail to take our chances, which is true. Fluffy or Flu44Y man says Big Yannick. He doesn't put anything else. He just puts Big Yannick. He's had a trim as well.
Big
that I need to do.
Target, man. Get him sorted, right? That's all we need, and then 2 running off him.
Brilliant.
Yeah. He's shown that he's got a shot on him as well, so position changes.
Well, we'll see. I mean, he's not in the team at the moment, but there's no reason why. If Ralph sees something in there that could possibly be a difference, we obviously mentioned coming off the bench, he could have been used to mark a specific target man, someone like Andy Carroll. So maybe he could be used in a way that if we know it's going to be long ball football, that he could be implemented to try and stop those long balls and try and win those defensive headers. It could be an option for him to get in. But at the moment, it seems like we want a little bit more confidence on the ball. So we've gone for Bednarak and Stevens. It seems all right at the moment. He'll get his time. We'll see how it happens.
I think because we're getting to the Christmas period now, January. There's a lot of games going on in a short space of time. You need rotation. I think Vestergaard will get another chance because he did make a couple of mistakes, but to be fair, everyone's made a couple of mistakes this year, so he probably deserves another chance at some point. Yeah,
there we go.
Brothers 1302. Will Ralph last until January? Will we get any bodies, or is this another window of not very goodness? I say is the word that he used.
So in the press conference, Ralph talked about
Is there any other questions, Tiz? Because we could just go straight into press conference.
There's quite a few.
Okay. Well, what we'll do is we'll go to the press conference. There's a lot of transfer and press conferences that Mikey will cover. We'll smash through the questions.
I'll cover it as quickly as I possibly can.
Go on then. Go for
it. Ralph wants new players in the January. He's looking for a fullback. He's looking for defenders. He's happy with his attack. If they don't bring anyone in, they need to be strong enough, mentally and physically, to continue the rest of the season, trying to keep us up.
Yeah.
Injury-wise, Valerie's out for the rest of the year because he's ill. Danso's also picked up a fever over the last 2 days, so they've basically just sent them home, told them to get recovered completely to not spread it. Gineppo's picked up a hamstring injury. Boufal's still having injections, so he's not going to start on the weekend. He was asked about his job security, and he didn't really answer that question, but he was saying, we played well 70% of the time in games.
Right.
70% of the game will play well, and then the other, the rest of it will be the mistakes, will be the poor play, and that's when we
30%.
Sorry,
continue.
Brilliant. There you go.
And that the players have to focus for 90 minutes, which is obvious.
Yeah.
Asked about the relationship with Kat, and he said that it was a good one with Kat and Cal. He commented on the empty seats at St Mary's because there was 5,000 empty seats at St Mary's against West Ham, saying that it's both ways. The fans have to try and help the players motivate them on the pitch, and then the players have to actually create chances to get the fans riled up.
Yeah.
It goes both ways, and he's trying to make everyone happy. And then talking about the players switching off, they have to be resilient. They have to keep. Apparently, they're still following him, even though there's been a couple of rumours saying that the players aren't happy.
Yeah.
Apparently, they're still following him, and that we've picked up 2 points more this month than last month at the moment. So we're playing better. Performances are there. It's just about finishing off the chances and staying strong as a unit.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
Okay, so that's the press conference summary. Tiz, should we go back to a couple of questions, and then Mike, you can give us some transfer rumours?
Yeah, so you got 10scar_C needs new centre backs. It's the truth. Not sure why we're interested in the right back. Cedric is good enough. Just lack for and then ends. So I don't know what the end of that message is. But we'll.
I'll quickly do. Look, there's only been 2 transfer rumours.
Sure, go for it.
The right back's been. I think Joachim Mahaley, isn't it, from Genk?
Yeah.
He's a 22-year-old Danish right back. Played fairly well this season. He's capped at under 21 level with Denmark as well. And he's going to be brought in for cover. I think he can play left back as well. So he'll be covered for right back and left back, which is something that we need considering we've only got one full back on each side because Valerie's out until the end of the year. The centre back in question is Marin Pogrignac.
Easy names.
Croatian from Salzburg, who obviously doing very well in the Champions. Well, they did well in the Champions League. They're not, aren't they? But they played well in the Champions League. Yeah. He has played a lot for Salzburg this season in the Bundesliga, the Austrian Bundesliga. But when he's played, he's done well, and he looks quite good. Looks like he could develop into a very good centre back. So
yeah, there we go.
Fingers crossed we can get him in.
So yeah, there we go. That's the kind of rumours. Obviously, it looks like if those are flying around, they're not going to come out of nowhere. So it seems like, fullback wise, I think it's an important part of Rav's style, and he wants to strengthen those areas. And centre back wise, we're still shaky in defence, and it's not probably the best solution, because you'd hope that we can try and transform what we've kind of already got. But if it's not working, then it may be just a choice of personnel that needs to be changed. So. Yeah, well, we'll see what happens.
Oh, and the Barcelona centre-back from last week, I can't remember his name, but he's apparently joining Milan.
Right. Okay, there we go.
We're going to get him.
Yeah. Okay. Tiz, can we do another question?
10 Oscar_C says Højbjerg needs to sort himself out, and we just need to sort out the midfield in general, is what he said over his next two comments.
Well, the formation we actually play relies heavily on those two centre mids to play very well and outperform our opponents. And for that, you need them to be riled up and, like I say, outperform, because most teams will have two, if not three, in the midfield that you're going to have to compete with. So what it relies on is Højbjerg and Ward-Prowse having good games and getting into those games. And if they're having particularly poor games, then either they need to come off, which we won't see from Højbjerg because he's the captain, or we need a change in style to allow more pressure in that midfield and possibly take a player from up front and put it in midfield to help us within transition in those both defensive and attacking phases. So that's what we've got at the moment. Hopefully, maybe it'd be Højbjerg. It'd be nice if Højbjerg can kind of put his hand up and say, I'm having a bad game, and I'm happy to sacrifice for my team. We've always seen Xhaka kick off when he was substituted as a captain, but hopefully Højbjerg has the confidence in himself to see that even if he is substituted, you can still affect the team and it can be a positive sign, not a negative one. So yeah,
in all fact, I don't think Højbjerg has had a bad season this year. I think Højbjerg's done fine. Against West Ham he was poor, but that's one game. You think that the last game you think he probably had a poor game was Leicester. The rest of the time he's always done quite solidly. He's been that rock in our midfield that we've sort of looked for, and he's done well, I think. Especially when you played against Norwich and Watford, he really dominated the midfield there. So I don't think he's done poorly. I think last two games it's not been fantastic, but you just got to stick with players sometime, and especially Højbjerg, who can affect a game in the way that he can do.
Tish, your thoughts on Højbjerg's performance?
I think just the whole team needs to be given time, to be honest with you. It's not just, even if he is underperforming, it's not just him that's underperforming. If it was just him, drop him, fair enough. But what other options apart from maybe Romeu do we have? And then Romeu's quite one-dimensional. So I'd rather we just stuck with the players that we have. And if by mid-January we're still underperforming, then switch it up. But we've still got plenty of time to change. So I think we should just stick with it at the moment, to be fair.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions, or are we?
Max_Hunter, what positions do we need to be improved in the size? Just, what positions do you think January requires?
January-wise, I'm happy with the fullbacks. I think we're covering fullbacks would be good. It depends quality of centre-back. If we get a real quality centre-back in, I'd quite like to see a little bit more of the experience rather than these 22-year-olds, because that seems like the trap we've fallen into recently. So if it was something that really excited me, I'd be happy to see a centre-back. And then maybe a possible a midfielder, possibly attacking, that could just offer us another dimension in case of a formation change. Armstrong looks good. Maybe something around there as well. Something like maybe a Romeu or something like that, with a little bit more of a comfortable on the ball, a bit more comfortable in possession. Maybe that's my opinions. Your guys, what would you like to see?
Just another right back, to be honest. Maybe just like you said, full back covers, because I'm not that's the one part of the picture I'm a bit like, I'm not too confident. Everywhere else, I think we've got sufficient cover. Centre-back wise, I'd rather wait till the end of the season, because I think right now prices are inflated and we're not desperate for a centre-back, especially due to the fact that we've signed so many that just haven't worked.
Mm.
So I'd rather wait for the end of the season for that. But yeah, fullbacks or fullback at least.
Yeah. Okay, Mikey?
I would happily go through January not signing anyone just so we don't panic buy.
Right.
I know the situation that we're in, and probably we do need a little bit more quality, but I prefer us to go to the summer, actually look at options that we need and like buy then, instead of spending 20-30 million pound on another centre back that won't work. I'd much prefer us to go to the summer, like actually have time to scout these players. If they're the right player, bring them in. But I don't want us to panic buy and make a stupid decision like a lot of clubs that do get relegated do.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's got to be an exciting prospect for me to be happy with the transfer. I'd almost be more concerned if the fact we got another £15 million centre back, 22 looks like he's got promise. Because in that case, I'm more concerned about the wage structure and will he really have a substantial difference for us? I'm not sure. I don't think Danso's cutting the mustard. It looks like he's not really been featured too much. It'd be interesting to see how he would play in a centre-back role, but we haven't really been seen him being selected by Ralph too much. Possibly that's because of injuries and things like that. But yeah, with the upcoming Christmas and January schedule, there's time for rotation. It will really show whose Ralph's confidence is within. So fingers crossed, potential targets can be picked up through that. So yeah, and how are we doing on questions?
One more.
Here we go.
Questions. Hugh_Wilson. Who are our top 3 players in recent form?
Ings has got to be number 1 in recent form if we're talking about it.
100%. Prowse. Well, Prowse. I know people have sliced him, but he is getting the goals. He's getting.
Yeah, that's true.
The assists. Oh, not assist.
Third's
difficult. Stevens maybe.
Possibly.
Maybe Stevens, because he's played well recently. Apart from that, I can't think of anyone that's absolutely shone a light in terms like the wingers have been inconsistent, the fullbacks inconsistent. So I'd probably say Stevens.
Maybe Stevens. Shane Long's had a decent run when he's come on for us, but nothing of he's played individually quite well, but in terms of affecting the team's actual results, he hasn't made too. I'd say that he's got a couple of assists, so. I think Shane Long's done all right. Mikey?
Ings, Ward-Prowse, yeah. We've got a very distinctly average team, don't we?
Yeah.
Because when a player seems to pick up in form, he gets injured. You look at Gineppo, Boufal. They've all picked up in form, got injured, and then they've never seemed to recuperate it after that. So. Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, currently on WhoScored.com, favourite odds, Gineppo, Ward-Prowse and Ings are the best performing players this season. It's then Vestergaard, Højbjerg, Boufal, Redmond, McCarthy, Long as the top. So. Okay,
so that's all questions done, unless you've got anything to add on that, Tiz. You've done your list, haven't you?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, we'll finish that there, done our questions. We'll go into our own preview, but what we're just going to do first, we've been lucky enough, we've got a nice little interview with a Aston Villa-based podcast. He's going to tell us a little bit about himself and his own podcast. So we'll have a little listen to that now. Okay, so I'm joined here with Neil. How you doing, man? You all right?
Very good, guys. Yeah. Thanks a million for inviting me on.
Yeah, no problem. So quickly, what I'll just ask, if you can quickly give us a little overview about your podcast. Obviously, your Aston Villa-based podcast. That's why I wanted to get you on. But yeah, if you can give us a little overview for what your podcast is like, and just let us know.
Yeah, no worries, absolutely. So, podcast is called For the Love of Paul McGrath, and for those of you who don't know, Paul McGrath was the best defender that ever lived. He was created in the likeness of God himself, and he was born the 25th of. No, he wasn't born the 25th of December, but he might as well have been. So obviously, as you guys can tell, I'm Irish, and I actually got into supporting Aston Villa because of watching the Irish national team when I was like 6 or 7. And I remember remarking Paul McGrath was playing for Ireland at that time. It was like 92. And I remember remarking, this guy is absolutely amazing at 7. Now, obviously, he would look different to everybody in the field, but I said, this guy is brilliant. And my dad said, yeah, his name is Paul McGrath. And then that Saturday in Ireland, we used to have one game that was broadcast live. And that Saturday was, I think it was Villa Crystal Palace, if I'm not mistaken. And Paul McGrath was playing again. And I went, there he is. That's the guy again. I want to support them. And from there on, I supported Aston Villa. So,
nice.
Yeah, so the podcast is, we try and do 3 podcasts a week. And it's, it's just kind of like you guys. It's very easy flowing, nice, just conversation, just cathartic exercise to get stuff off my chest about Aston Villa and,
awesome.
what it's like to be a fan.
Yeah. So what I'll quickly ask, can you just give us an overview of what you feel like Aston Villa's season's like? Because obviously we talk about our season a lot, but yeah, if you can give us, as a fan yourself, an opinion on how your season you think you're going, you give us an idea on that.
I can do, and our season's been very much up and down. We've had some unbelievable. I think the overarching feeling about our season is that it's like what could have been. We could have been the Sheffield United up in 5th place and riding high on the crest of a wave, leading against Spurs, leading against Arsenal, leading against United, leading against Liverpool. We've given the big teams a good game of it up until recently. Up until the Leicester game, or up until, we didn't exactly perform against Chelsea. We've given the big teams a good game of it. And then what we've done is we've got out against teams like Bournemouth and gone down 2-0 before we know it. Or we've not shown up against Wolves away in a derby game, or even against Sheffield United, that we played at the weekend. We seem to be like literally relishing the big games and almost too tired to play the games for the teams around us that we should be beating. So we've been pretty Jekyll and Hyde. The Villa fan base itself, we're struggling for goals. When we're not struggling for goals, we're struggling for a striker. And until we get a striker, until we get somebody that starts banging in the goals, because we do have a goal, we do have a tendency to concede goals, especially just after half time and late in games. We don't score enough. We don't have a striker that's banging in, that's going to get like 15 goals this season or 20 goals this season. And if we did, and I know every team in the Premier League can say this, but if we did have a striker that we could rely on to get into double digits, we'd feel an awful lot better. But overall, I'm kind of happy with our return. It hasn't been absolutely diabolical, and I think that we can get ourselves out of this funk and, see where we go.
Yeah, awesome. Tiz, do you want to fire away with a question?
I was going to say, who for you do you think are going to be your key players, and also who for us do you think is going to concern you?
Geez, good question. Who's going to be the key player for Villa? I am an absolute massive John McGinn fan. What he does on the field could be done for any team, but in the world, but it could only be done by him. And what I mean by that is, he's one of the most industrious players. He's just a nuisance. And he's one of my favorite players. But what I think is, like, he mightn't play at the weekend. He's been nursing an injury. Apparently, he's got a calf tear and so on. But he's been dealing with painkiller injections. But so he's not 100% to play this weekend. I would imagine he will, but it's not been confirmed. He didn't play midweek. Obviously, we're going to be missing Tyrone Mings as well. But look, the obvious name is Jack Grealish. He is hated by other teams' fans, loved by our fans, and he gets a bad rep about being a diver. But when you guys see him at the weekend, he'll get kicked up and down the field. It's just what happens. He just moves his body in a different way to the majority of people on the field. He's definitely our catalyst. At the moment, we're playing him out in the left wing, and we would do well to get a left winger in and maybe a striker in the January transfer window to be able to move him back in field. But at the moment, he's working okay out there, but he only works well when Conor Hourihane is in the team as well. So this is the next person I'm coming to, is Conor Hourihane, because he's pivotal for Jack Grealish to be able to play well. So that the two of them interchange, and of course Hourihane's deliveries from free kicks and from corners and basically just some of the shots he has from outside the box as well are. I'm a big Conor Hourihane fan, not just because he's Irish, but I just like technicians like him. He's an honest player, and I like those guys. I like himself and McGinn. Other big names, the other guys that I think you guys should be looking out for. Anwar El Ghazi is back from injury. Looks like he's kind of a small bit back to form, and he's probably going to be a threat down the right hand side. But apart from that, the team is going to be nice and compact. It's going to be industrious. Our centre halves we won't have Tyrone Mings, so our centre halves, I couldn't even guess to see who they would be. We'd pick from 4 good centre halves though. I'm not worried. I couldn't care which of the four gets to start because they're all good. I think one of your old boys, Matty Target, will probably be the one guy that you guys might be able to have a good crack and attack off. Well, you would be only for the fact that I don't really like. I think your right side of your defense and of your midfield isn't as good or as balanced as your left hand side. So maybe that might play into our hands. And that's who I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of our old boy Bertrand. We loved him when he was here as left back. He was fantastic. And Bertrand and Redmond are going to probably be your outlets. And as I've said to everybody I've spoken to, put hard cash, all of your hard cash on Danny Ings to score, because he always scores against Villa. And you know what's going to make this weekend any different?
Yeah. Well, it was quite interesting to see you've got 4 centre backs that you'd be happy to choose from. We can barely get 2 together when we're playing, so that'll be an interesting thing to go on. Mike, Jambo, do you have any other kind of questions about the upcoming game?
With the striker situation, so I know you bought in Wesley in the summer, and he was supposed to be the big grand signing, and you couldn't get Tammy Abraham back in. What's the difference between Tammy Abraham and Wesley? What's the
Good question. Yeah, they're chalk and cheese in the way that Tammy Abraham is like a Gary Lineker and Wesley is like an Emile Heskey, and I don't mean that as a derogatory to Wesley, but I'm talking about the way that the two people play. So Tammy Abraham was really like a fox in a box. If you got the ball into the box, he would find his way to get on the end of it. He's about 5'11", 6 foot, and he's more of a kind of he moves around the field and gets into positions. Whereas Wesley is 6'4", he's a big brute of a man. He could be Wesley could be a Didier Drogba, or he could be an Emile Heskey at the moment. We're not quite sure what he could be. But the biggest thing with Wesley is that he's only played a handful of professional games. He hasn't even played 100 professional games yet. He's had a monumental rise to stardom. If you haven't looked at his profile and some of the stuff that's gone on, like he was a father at 14. I think he had 2 kids by the age of 15, and so he was a man very young. And but I like Wesley. I like what he does. And it could be this weekend. He could be a handful for your centre halves. If you're struggling for centre halves, he is he's a brute. He will bully your centre halves. But the thing is that sometimes he spends his time bullying the centre half as opposed to getting on the end of the cross. So he likes to win the physical battle, and it's kind of I won't even say it's a macho-ness, because when you hear him speak, he's the meekest, tamest, timid sounding man you'll ever see. But it'll be interesting. But he's got 4 goals so far. Cost 22 million, came in from the Belgian leagues. We kind of haven't really seen what he can do yet because he's been so isolated. No one is within an ass's roar of him. If when we get the ball up there, we get it up quickly. And usually when we cross the ball in, he's usually the only guy there. That's why our midfield scores so many goals. They're coming in the end of crosses at the back post, or they kind of get the knockdowns that come out to the edge of the box. So it's not been a case where he's had an awful lot to feed from. But some fans, he's Marmite at the moment, and that's being really honest. I actually personally think that he could go on to become something really big. But some fans are ready to get rid of him in January, which is absolutely mental in my view. But I'm not all fans.
Well, we'll definitely. So all 4 of us are going up, so we'll keep an eye on him when we're watching him on Saturday. Jamie, I know you had a question. If we do a final one, then.
Yeah. So after your cup victory against Liverpool, especially where Wesley got his goal, do you reckon that'd be lots of confidence for your side actually managing to get 4 past the team?
I think. Yes is the short answer, and yes is what I want to say. But I suppose watching that game against Liverpool, it was really that was the Codger show, and Liverpool could have scored 2 or 3 against us that day as well. And I think it was a case of, when you try and play against the team, no matter in the first 10-15 minutes, you see it all the time in cup games. It could be Man City could be playing against Dagenham and Redbridge or something like that, and they'll have their chances early on, and you often see teams concede early, and I think that's what kind of happened to Villa. They just didn't have enough kind of maybe scouting knowledge of the team and didn't really know areas they were going to attack from and that kind of basis. But to answer your question, I think it would have to be. It was a well-taken goal from Wesley, but I don't think he's going to sneak in behind your centre halves as easily as he did again behind that guy Boys. the last day. But yeah, look, anytime you score a goal as a striker, you're going to have to, it's going to have to boil your confidence. And I think the fact that Kodja got 2 nice goals, and I'm going to say this quietly because he could very easily not start at the weekend as Wesley, but Kodja kind of played that role a small bit better. He was able to run onto passes that were slid through, and he was a bit more beneficial getting out onto the wings into the right hand side, especially where he could do something with the ball. When Wesley gets out there, it's a case of try and kick it off a player and get a corner. And it's not a guarantee that Wesley starts the weekend, but I'd say it's probably 75% he does. But there is that sliver of doubt that he actually doesn't start at the weekend. But yeah, you have to think that the confidence would be high for our striking department just after what they did at the weekend, or during the week, should I say.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Well, it's been brilliant to get an insight into the actual into the Villa side like that. I mean, we can only have a glance as an outsider, but to get an insider's view, it's been really great to get that. So yeah, thanks very much for joining us. And yeah, thanks for giving us an interview. It's been really nice to talk to you.
No problem at all, guys. Yeah. Anytime. We might catch you for the return leg as well.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Cheers.
Bye.
Okay, so that was the Aston Villa-based interview there. Interesting to get a idea of it there. So what we'll go into our own preview now and kind of go through our own thoughts. So we've got his thoughts there of the Aston Villa Saints game, but we'll give our own thoughts now on how we feel it's going. So looking ahead to Aston Villa, obviously we're going ourselves. Do you have any hesitations or reservations going to this game? Obviously it's a massively important one.
The
Your thoughts? The drive.
I have to sit with Jamie for 3.5 hours in the car.
Yeah, Jamie hasn't turned up today, but yeah. So apart from traffic, the actual game inside the 90 minutes.
The game of football.
How are you feeling going into it today, boys?
Is it today?
How are you feeling going into it today, boys? Well, how do you feel today, then, Tiz? How do you feel today?
It's difficult because you don't know how much confidence they've taken out of that Liverpool result, because the majority of players that played then won't play. You see James Chester plays for the first time in 11 months. You see Jonathan Kodja gets his first few minutes and gets 2 goals. Wesley scored. Wesley's probably going to start for them, I'd imagine. But players like Jack Grealish got rested, so do they gain confidence knowing that they've won their previous game against a younger Liverpool side? I'm not too sure. But
who got on the score sheet for the Aston Villa game?
It's difficult. Kodja got 2, Wesley got 1, El Mohammadi got 1, and I don't know who scored the other one.
Right. Okay. There you go. Stato's on it. But I think there'll be a lift in. I think there will be a somewhat lift in spirits, no matter who you beat, because players who played well will hit the training ground and they'll have a spring in their step, which will bring other players up. Own goal. Right. There we go. But that people who have performed well, they're going to train with the same people, and it's going to bring you up a level, isn't it? If they've banged them in front of a crowd they haven't been playing for a while and suddenly hit the training ground with a spring in your step, you've got to raise yourself up to that level. Otherwise, you're not going to look as good, are you? So I think there'll be a slight increase in their camp. We're looking at it coming off the back of a disappointing West Ham defeat. Listen to the podcast if you want to hear our immediate reactions. But hopefully they've got the mental strength to be able to go into the game with a clean thoughts, and we play decent away from home. Fingers crossed we'll have a decent performance. How do you feel, Mike, about going into the game?
Excited. It'll be a good game. 2 teams at the bottom. It's going to be a scrappy game. The only 2 that you can be worried, John McGinn and Jack Grealish, probably their 2 best players this season.
Yeah.
McGinn seems to be quite on and off. He'll have a really, really good game and he'll get a goal or something like that, and then he sort of is quite quiet. Grealish seems to be their main player who keeps things ticking. So it's whether we can basically cancel out the threat of Grealish or not. If we can, we'll probably get a decent result. If we can't, Villa will probably have a good game. So that's sort of where I'm looking at it.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if it came out in the press conference, but even Ralph came out saying about Aston Villa's quality in the press conference. I don't know if you
He was saying about there was quality and depth. They're a very strong team, but they seem to have the same issues that we do about killing off games, and so we're just trying to focus on our game and let them do theirs. Basically,
So, in terms of how we play this game, how do you think we've got to do? Obviously, you want to see the four at the back. Is it an attacking way? Do you start a little bit conservative and then build into it? How do you think we will attack this game going into it?
It's an away game, so you're always going to feel out your opponent, like see how they're going to play. And what's Villa's home form been like? Because if they play quite poorly at home, then the fans could be on their back already.
They lost to Leicester 4-1.
They've won beaten 4 of their last 6 at home.
Okay, there we go.
But
they've lost the last 3 games they've played, so they're not going to be on a great run of form.
Yeah.
Somebody like us. So, yeah, I think both teams will try and feel each other out first 10, 15 minutes and try and get an idea of how they're going to play it. Fingers crossed we can be ahead in our attacking play, that we will try and attack the game early, obviously use our pressing style. And, yeah, hopefully we can try and improve on attacking wise, because we can prove that we can be dangerous in attack and build confidence from the defence and try and go on the fact that we can be good in defence if we stay focused. It only takes a matter of seconds and then you can be down. So maintaining that focus, which I'm sure Ralph is building into them, and fingers crossed we can. There's definitely a chance of us getting something out of this game, isn't there? Where both teams are low on confidence. There's a chance of us getting something, and would really help us out to improve. Cheers. How are your thoughts?
I say, how much of a miss do you think Djenepo will be for us? Because obviously, if he was playing on the right, he'll be up against Matt Targett, who's not the strongest defensively. Attacking wise, he is, but defensively, he's not that strong. So, how much of a miss do you think Djenepo will be? I know Boufal hasn't played, but Boufal as well. How much of an effect do you think not having them will have on the outcome of the game?
I don't think Djenepo's been as effective as he was before his injury. He came back and had a decent game, but then the next 2, I don't think he was particularly effective. Was it Newcastle and West Ham? I guess it must have been. Yeah. I don't think he particularly shone in those games. He had a couple of good spells, but in terms of out performances, I don't think he looked amazing. But then again, like we said, most of our team is performing pretty averagely at the moment, so it's quite difficult to distinguish between them. I think if Armstrong's fit, he's got to play, because we need an attacking player in a position there. So whether he could play right and Redmond cuts in from the left, I know it makes us a little one-dimensional on that side, but it means we've got attacking quality in that side. And like you say, Boufal's on what did you say, injections, didn't you say, Mike? So he's not going to be able to play. So we're kind of limited attacking wise for what we can do anyway. So in terms of it's just building on confidence rather than switching the players, because we've only got a small amount for the selection. So should we, while we're talking about selection, should we quickly give what we reckon the lineup should be?
I think it'll be the same as we've seen, just Armstrong instead of Djenepo. I don't think Che Adams will come in for Long. I think Long will keep his place. So apart from that, I think it'll just be one simple swap. I think it'll be Djenepo out and Armstrong in.
Yeah. I'm incredibly surprised that people are asking for Long's head to not start, because I think that when Long's played, he's just offered like so much more than what other people have. I know Adams hasn't really been given his chance this season, and it's unfortunate that it's happened in that way. But Long adds a different dimension to the game. We don't currently have a target man. He gives us an out ball, and that's what we miss. It's not his role isn't to score goals. That's Ings' role. His role is to get us out of our defensive third.
Very true. Very true.
I just think it's.
I just find people surprising because Long hasn't done badly. It's not like he's missed open goals or anything like that. Like this season, he has lost, but not this season. So I'm just surprised by it.
I think people are just a bit frustrated that he's missed a few good chances, and they want to see Che Adams come back in because he was given the chance at the start of the season, but he's had a couple of 10-minute appearances here and there. I think they just want to see someone fresh up there that's got more potential to stay in the team longer, not just this season, but the season after that and after that. Whereas after this season, Shane Long's contract runs out at the end of the season and he's not signed yet. So, I think people just rather look at both longevity and they think that Che Adams has got a better chance if the ball falls to his feet of scoring.
I would like to see. I would find it interesting if Adams starts on the right this year. Did he start on the right or the left for Birmingham? Because
I'm not sure.
If he starts on the right instead of Gineppo, that could be like him against target. I'd see Adams.
I think also what I've heard from people about Adams is they just want to see him play against Villa, because obviously that playing for Birmingham and then playing for Villa, they wanted to see him. Hopefully that bit of fire. I think that's what people wanted to see, that kind of fire come out between there. So
yeah.
I think that's what people are kind of looking forward to, saying it's the best game as any to try and play him. I think that's what people have been saying. To be honest, I haven't really seen too many people going at Shane Long's head, because I think they value his contribution. He's just sometimes quite frustrated in the fact that he gets in the chances, it's just not put away. And that's almost just as frustrating as it not being, it's just frustrating as a fantasy. We're so close yet so far. I think that's the one people that are frustrated with. But you've got to value his contribution as well. I think he has got a very good vision for a striker, and obviously he's got a brilliant aerial ability for a person of his size. So I think he does bring value to the team, and we should get the most use out of him while we've still got him, to be fair. So yeah, that's my kind of thoughts. So we're going for the same sort of team. Do you want to, guys, give your predictions on how you think it will go, score-wise?
It's going to be difficult because we're missing, key players. Only one more than usual, so it's not that much. But maybe I'll say it's going to be a 1-0 either way. Ooh, I can't see a lot of goals. It's going to be a 1-0.
We'll write mine up. Mikey, what do you reckon it's going to be?
1-0 to us, I'll say.
I can't see either side keeping a clean sheet, so I'll go 2-1 Saints.
2-1 Saints. Okay, I'm going to go 1-0. Doesn't really help either side, I reckon. But I think it'll be a point, and I think it'll be a 1-0. I think that's what I'm going to go for. So yeah, Harry gone for a 1-0, Mikey gone for a 2-1 for Saints, and I've gone for a 1-0. So yeah, there we go. Any other things that we kind of want to cover? I think Jahidi's gone off to a new managerial position, hasn't he? We can cover that quickly.
He's gone out for a year to America. I don't know where.
And he shared our good luck for Saints Prime on his story, which is nice. So us and Jahidi are basically like that. We're tight now, to be fair.
Best mates.
Yeah, we're basically best mates. Anything else to report, really, or should we?
Don't think much has happened, to be fair.
No, well, we kind of covered it.
They had their Christmas party. I think they enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah. And there's a Daily Mail article. Mikey, can you run us through what happened there? I haven't read it.
Was doing a speech and showed her backing for Ralph. She's saying last Christmas, but put Hassan Hootel's name in the end of it. So
yeah. Very nice.
Also, last thing about this, I'm going to be very disappointed if we get up to Villa and there's no Christmas hats. Because
no Christmas hats. Oh yeah. Well, that'd be quite nice.
I want a Christmas hat when I get up there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that'd be quite nice if you
give away free stuff. We'll get a win.
What else could you ask for? But yeah, so if there's nothing really else that's come up, then
there we go. If do you think of anything that you would ask for on an away game for free from the Southampton board, just put it on the Instagram, on Twitter. I don't know how it works, but
Okay, yeah. Well, talking about our socials, Tiz, if they want to get their questions in for next week's, get their reactions in, or if they want to.
Saints Prime after the game for the reactions, Wednesdays for the questions.
And just DM us if you want to hear what you want for free at the Villa game, apparently. I guess, yeah. That'll do, won't it, Mike?
Yeah.
And then in terms of socials on Twitter at Saints Prime Pod. We'll release it as soon as podcast goes live. Direct links to your favourite podcasting host and general updates or things that we find interesting on there, or pictures of tickets like I did and accidentally forgot to show the barcode. So if some guy's in our seats for the Villa away game, we know why that is, because I'm an idiot, basically. So yeah, keep on track of that if you want me to release free tickets, basically. Not on purpose, but yeah. So yeah, there we go. Thank you very much for listening, and thanks to the Aston Villa podcast. Go check that out for the interview. It's been me, Ollie. I've also been joined by Harry. Say goodbye, Harry.
Yes, you have indeed. See you later.
Yeah. And Mikey.
Awesome. Yeah.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.